Well, this is sort of a wholesome story in a way. Although these cows were a bit spooked by a thunderstorm, about 20 of them. Some of them are pregnant, so that'll come up a bit later. They were spooked and they jumped the fence, but they found a beautiful new life in the summer of Canada. Or in the forest, the summer of anyways. And they were in the forest, not the summer, but it was summer and they were in the forest. Plenty of grass, plenty of food, plenty of free open space, beautiful birds chirping. They had their babies and they're living just fine in nature. However, people are a bit worried because there are 20 some odd cows out there. There could be dangerous situations that happen. Maybe they try to cross the road, causing accidents. They might act a little bit sort of unpredictably when encountering humans, possibly causing harm. Although there's been no harm caused yet, people are worried about it. And finally, since winter is coming, or I guess has come as of now, the people were a bit worried that these cows might not make it through such a harsh, cold season. As of this article, they're still on the loose because the government has not really taken responsibility. They keep, passing the buck on, relinquishing any sort of responsibility they have to the next person, saying things like, just slaughter them all. It's like, well, if you can catch them to slaughter them, just put them back on the farm. Like, these are just basically useless pieces of advice given to the local people. And including in this are some local people that feel like the cows have earned this freedom, and what we really should do is just let them live out their life naturally to the end in the freedom of the forest. Yeah, I think.
I like that spirit, yes. They felt the local people who kind of supported the cows' freedom, they saw them as symbolic of the freedom of the people of Quebec. They could identify with these cows and their desire to be free.
And these cows have shown no desire to come back to the farm. Like, there are instances where domestic animals or domesticated animals will come back after a while and be like, hey, wasn't there food over there? And it really well could be that in wintertime, they're like, remember that place where there was a bunch of food? So, just if they come back, they come back. If they don't, let them be free kind of feeling.
That is nature.
That is nature.
And I have to wonder about the farmer. He didn't try that hard to get them back, it seems. Surely if he really, really wanted these cows, did he let them out? Why didn't he try and get them back?
I've seen, of course, a lot of documentaries about this, and I've heard of a lot of just anecdotal stories about rounding cows up. And really, even in the wide expanses of Australia and America, one by one, you found them and brought them back. And I feel like 20 cows in the forest of Canada could be it's obviously a difficulty, but how far does a cow go? They're eating all day. Or apparently they're hiding in the forest, but it's still a forest. You could probably get in there and try to get a few.
Yeah, get them one by one.
Yeah, one by one.
Get your neighbor help you out a bit, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's more complicated than we realize.
Yeah.
Do you think that in general, farm animals are happy living in captivity? Why or why not? What makes you think?
Yeah. I'll just come out with a phrase, ignorance is bliss. And I think with a lot of domesticated animals, they are ignorant of what could be out there. Now, probably most of them are caring mostly about comfort and food. A lot of these animals, their main focus is survival. Of course, it's the main instinct of basically every animal, including us. And so when it comes to them, they have a great survival. Now, when you look at some of these farms and you see the condition and the space that these domesticated animals have, you will notice that these animals have some symptoms of psychosis, stress, and other things that might cause them to prefer not being there. And so, some animals would be happy, and some animals, I think, would not be.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point. It all depends on the conditions. If they've got great, loving, caring owners, Yeah. I'm sure they could be, and given the right conditions, who actually understand how the animal works and what its real needs are, I don't see why they can't be happy. But seems some pretty terrible.
This is why I really enjoyed Temple Grandin. She was a person in the 80s that was an advocate for animal rights, but she took another approach. She said, instead of like trying to go vegan and everyone stop eating meat and everything, let's just make any animal we have, their life better. So in the past, they would just jam-pack these cows leading into the building where they're gonna get killed. It's super amount of stress, terrible for the cows, and actually terrible for us too, because these hormones were causing the meat to kind of not be good in the end. So she devised several different ways to make cows' lives better, even up to their death. And I thought that was a great approach. Now, in England, are there any animals that pose risk to driving vehicles?
England? Probably not that much, apart from maybe a few escaped cows or horses, the bigger ones. Like we really just don't have many big wild animals. But I think in Scotland maybe it's a bigger problem because they do have way more deer up there. You know, huge areas of deer farming and wild wilderness full of deer. So I bet Scotland has more problems.
Yeah, I always thought that maybe it's just the deer. I think the biggest ones here are in America is deer as well.
Ah, really? Not one bison?
No, bison are
buffalo,
few and far between.
no.
They're basically the same thing.
Ah, right, okay.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, it's mostly deer, and that's why there's things called deer guards, which at the first part, you're like, oh, it's to guard against deer. It's actually on the vehicle to make sure the deer, if you hit them, doesn't come up into the windshield. It makes them go down or to the side, supposedly. Kind of a macabre thing to think about, but yeah. Well, let's go ahead and forage through these vocabularies and find out something that we can use in our daily life, and we will catch you in the next article. Bye.
See you next time.
On the loose.
On the loose.
Forage.
Forage.
Slaughter.
Slaughter.
Relinquish.
Relinquish.
Pony up.
Pony up.